Charlie Brooker created a TV show called Black Mirror that is not set in the past, not in the present, but in the not so distant future. That's not including Sanjana Perrault because that's set all over the place. He incorporates technology that is ever so slightly advanced and shows us what society could be like if we had this luxury and slowly watch it become a curse. I'm going to be looking back at all of the episodes in Black Mirror and ranking them from the worst to the best. Number 13. The Waldo Moment. Despite the fact that this is in last place, this doesn't make it a bad episode. It just makes it the worst in a good bunch. The Waldo Moment is about a comedian / voice actor called Jamie Salter, who voices an animated character who is getting its own TV series. Ultimately, the character Waldo ends up entering a political race to generate publicity for the show, but the producer of the show who owns the rights to Waldo gets this deluded idea that Waldo could actually win and stand for election, despite the fact that it's an animated character. The voice actor completely disagrees as he doesn't feel comfortable getting into politics, as he's just a comedian. So he clashes with the writer a lot, and the writer threatens to take over the role of voicing Waldo. Throughout the episode there is a love interest between the voice actor and somebody else running for the Labour Party, but overall it's quite bland. The main substance of the episode comes from Waldo facing up against the Conservative candidate Liam Monroe on several occasions and just watching the reaction. Jamie ends up losing out on voicing Waldo due to the disagreements that he had about the politics with the producer, and the producer ends up voicing Waldo. In the end, Waldo comes second to Liam Monroe in the poll, and Jamie ends up homeless watching Waldo, which is now a success, grow as a brand whilst he is living rough. Number 12. Men Against Fire. It's a shame to put this episode so low on the list because I feel like it had such great potential. The idea of soldiers being brainwashed into seeing their enemy as these mutant creatures called roaches is a great idea, but its delivery was quite poor. It was a slow episode which felt like the last quarter was so much stronger than the previous three. The standout scene for me in this episode was one of the final scenes where the soldier Stripe, played by Malachi Kirby, who gave a great performance, was being confronted by the psychiatrist played by Michael Kelly. When Michael Kelly's character shows Stripe the footage that was recorded of him killing the so-called roaches not in disguise, it was such a powerful moment. A standout moment in that episode for sure. Other than that, I feel like it was just a slow episode. It had some good characters and great potential, but it was definitely the weakest episode of Series 3. Number 11. National Anthem. National Anthem is about the Prime Minister being blackmailed into having unprotected sex with a pig live on television due to the fact that the princess has been kidnapped. Other than that, there's not really that much more you can say about the episode. You follow the Prime Minister transition through all of these different emotions, from thinking they've found the person who is blackmailing him to actually having sex with the pig. When the act takes place, visually it's not pleasant to watch, and the bathroom scene after where he's being sick is disgusting, and you completely buy the character. All then to realise that the princess was released before the act even took place. You can't help but feel sorry for the Prime Minister throughout the episode, and then at the end to see that his relationship with his wife has fallen apart makes you feel for him even more. Number 10. White Bear. White Bear is a great episode, and I'm surprised myself that it ended up so low on the list. Before Series 3 came out, it was ranked so much higher, but with the high standard of Series 3, the episode just fell down the rankings. The story follows a character called Victoria who wakes up and can't remember anything about her life, and she's being followed around by people that are filming her with their camera on their phones. She's also being chased by these almost Purge-like characters who are trying to kill her. Then you are introduced to Michael Smiley's character, who delivers a great performance, and it turns out that the whole chase is like an amusement park where people follow her around and film her because she kidnapped a young girl alongside her boyfriend. Her boyfriend tortured and killed the young girl while Victoria filmed it happening. So every day Michael Smiley and his team drug Victoria so she doesn't remember anything, and she has to relive the torture every day. Leaving you with the question, is what they're doing any better than what Victoria did to the girl? Number 9. 15 Million Merits. Coming in at number 9 on the list is the second episode of Series 1, 15 Million Merits. The story follows people who have to cycle on exercise bikes in order to power their surroundings and generate a currency called merits. The main character Bing inherited 15 million merits from his dead brother and uses them to skip adverts on his screen. After overhearing a girl in the bathroom singing, he gifts the 15 million to her. She uses the currency to enter an X Factor style contest called Hot Shot, in which she performs a song. The judges enjoy her audition but state that she is an above average singer and say that she would be better suited to an adult pornographic channel. The judges and crowd try to persuade her, and before auditioning she had a drink called compliance, which essentially makes her comply with the judges, and she accepts the offer. Bing goes back to his room without her and also now broke. He sees her on an advert for the adult channel and he can't skip it as he has no merits left. In his rage he gets angry and shatters some glass from the screen. Over time he cycles more than anybody else and he gets his 15 million merits back and enters Hotshot. He enters as a dancer, but during the dance he pulls out the shard of glass that he has been keeping and threatens to kill himself whilst giving an extremely powerful speech about how unfair the system is. The judges, instead of taking his words into consideration, are impressed by his performance and offer him his own show. Bing accepts and is later shown finishing one of his streams in his penthouse. Bing became part of the corrupt system that he once didn't agree with. It's a strong episode with a powerful meaning behind it. Number 8. Nosedive. Nosedive was a great start to Series 3, but as the series went on, it just fell further down the list. The episode had great acting by the cast and a great message behind it. In society nowadays, as much as some of us don't like to admit it, we do care what other people think of us. For example, how many likes we get on a photo. The ranking system showed just how false some people can be with each other, and the deterioration of Bryce Dallas Howard's character was great to follow. The ending where she was in the cell opposite somebody and they were throwing insults back and forth at each other because they have no ranking system to worry about showed just how free they felt. Number 7. Shut Up and Dance. Shut Up and Dance was the third episode of Series 3 and was about somebody once again being blackmailed. This episode was about a boy named Kenny who was being forced to take part in tasks such as deliveries and robbing a bank to stop the blackmailers releasing a video of what we believe is him masturbating to online porn in front of his webcam. At points, I questioned whether or not it was too extreme, especially when he was being told to fight to the death to prevent a video from being released. But when you realise that it is in fact footage of him masturbating to child pornography, it was a great twist. And also as well when you realise every character being blackmailed throughout the episode had committed some form of bad act in the past, which led to them being blackmailed, was a great reveal. The final shot of him at the end where he is covered in blood and his mum is screaming down the phone in shock, disappointment and anger, with the police approaching him, was great to watch. Number 6. Playtest. A great episode that's early on in Series 3. Following the character Cooper, who lives with his mother but is travelling the world at the moment and is ignoring her calls due to the fact he feels unable to connect with her due to his dad's death due to Alzheimer's. Cooper loses his credit card and ultimately will do anything for money for a return flight home. He sees an ad for a games development company and is prepared to take part and essentially be their guinea pig. Visually, the episode looks great, from the look of the house where he is going to and the white room where he is being tested. It all looks how it probably would be imagined. A great scene in the episode is where he loses his mind and is forgetting everything. The House of Horrors, which shows you your fears, and his greatest is losing his mind due to his dad. It's emotional to watch the deterioration of him losing his mind so fast, just as his father did. Then when it goes to Cooper back home with his mum as she makes the call that ultimately kills him. The fact that the whole test lasted 0.04 seconds and we got an hour-long episode from it is just hilarious. The scene where Cooper is shouting mum as he was dying was another powerful moment throughout the whole of Black Mirror. Number 5. White Christmas. White Christmas was the Christmas special that was aired in 2014 starring Rafe Spall and John Hamm. White Christmas ranks so highly probably because it incorporates a lot of technology in one episode, but it all has its place. It has a purpose, in which it delivered. The acting by all of the cast is great and the story itself is extremely strong, switching from John Hamm at the start to Rafe Spall in the middle and then them both at the end. The ending is extremely strong with the fact that Rafe Spall has to live with what he has done every single day on repeat, and the fact that John Hamm is now on the sexual offenders block list, which means he appears as a muffled red blur and cannot communicate with anybody. It leaves you with the question, would it be better to be blocked or be in a prison where you're able to communicate with other people? Number 4. Hated in the Nation. Hated in the Nation was the feature-length episode that was part of Series 3. It was a detective case with a twist. It is one of the strongest episodes through the whole of Black Mirror. The idea of the bees that were killing people due to a hashtag on Twitter was a great way to incorporate social media into the episode and make it a key part. The episode didn't feel like it was set that far in the future at all. Each of the detectives were likeable, and the ending where Blue fakes her own death and is in the same location as the person who started the trend and caused the mass killing of several people was a great way to finish the episode. Number 3. Sanjana Perrault. Sanjana Perrault is an episode that I was slightly apprehensive about, as lots of people were saying that they cried at the episode and found it really emotional. And after watching it, it was a great episode. Strong characters travelling through the decades with an emotional story and a great soundtrack made it the great episode that it was. The idea that you could choose to go to this afterlife party place called Sanjana Perrault was the perfect idea that seems almost appealing. Following the story of Yorkie and Kelly was an emotional ride that was enjoyable to be a part of. My only flaw with the episode is when Yorkie is telling Kelly how she should go to Sanjana Perrault, and Kelly lets out an extremely passionate and emotional rant about how she won't go because her husband chose not to, and when her daughter died she didn't have the option to. Yet 4 minutes later in the episode she decides to pass over to Sanjana Perrault. My theory to this is when she is being buried, her body is being laid to rest with her husband and her daughter on Earth, so she is still with them in that respect. But she decided to go to Sanjana Perrault to be with Yorkie, so she is with all of them in different ways. That realisation didn't hit me straight away, but if that's what Charlie Brooker intended, then it's a perfect finish to a great episode. Number 2. The Entire History of You. The perfect way to finish the first series of Black Mirror and leave people wanting more. What's perfect about this episode? The portrayal of each of the characters, the story. Visually it's great, and the piece of technology called the Grain is a clever idea. The fact that you can watch every moment of your life back is an interesting thought. So when Toby Kebbell's character's wife is cheating on him, of course the evidence would have been captured in the Grain. There are some great scenes in the episode. For example, the sex scene where they are both having sex and they're looking back on past experience which were better than what they are currently in. And the final scene where he's walking through his house. The colours whilst he is looking through the grain are a lot brighter to reflect a happier time where he was with his family. So when it keeps on cutting to the present day where he is now and he's on his own, the colours reflect that by it being dark and grey. To finish off, as he cuts the grain out, all of the footage flashes before his eyes, and the final shot of the episode is a photo of his wife. Such a strong moment in not only the episode, but the whole show. Number 1. Be Right Back. The episode that takes the number 1 spot is Be Right Back. The first episode of Series 2 starring Donald Gleason and Hayley Atwell involving a synthetic human who absorbs all of Donald Gleason's character Ash's social media information and posts after he dies. The synthetic looks identical to Ash, and you watch how at first Hayley Atwell's character Martha is apprehensive, but then she welcomes the technology. But then, after a while, she realises that nothing will ever be able to replace Ash. This then leads to the climax of the episode where they're at the top of the cliff and she is telling the synthetic Ash to jump. He refuses to at first, as he isn't programmed to have suicidal thoughts, but after persuasion from Martha he goes to, which is then when she tells him not to, and how he doesn't compare to the real Ash, as he would know what's going on. This heated discussion climaxes with a haunting scream by Martha off the top of the cliff, and it cuts to black. What do you think of these rankings? Do you agree? Leave a comment down below, and don't forget to check out our other video of the 5 most powerful moments in Black Mirror. And make sure you don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you next time.